Welcome to the County Seat. I'm your host, Chad Booth. Today our topic is going to be about condition of probation prisoners and the funding it takes for the county jails to hold state prisoners. This has been a very controversial issue, particularly when it comes to the shortfall in the funding each year as it comes from the general budget. So we decided we would take a look at the topic, look at some of the options, the things that have been tried, and what lies ahead as a permanent solution. So right now with a report on condition of probation prisoners, we take you to Terry Wood.
Well, thank you, Chad. Here in Utah, the court system processes hundreds of cases every day. Many are for misdemeanors like traffic violations, but others are for far more serious crimes. Now, judges in Utah have a mandate to sentence people appropriately. However, sometimes those sentences have unexpected consequences, especially when a state judge sentences a person straight to a county jail. A judge has several options when sentencing a person accused of committing a felony. If the crime was particularly heinous, or the prisoner needs to be held long-term, the state prison is the best option. If the crime wasn't too serious, the judge can grant probation, where the accused does not serve any time behind bars. The judge also has an intermediate option, where a defendant can be sent to a county jail for up to a year. This is known as condition of probation, and it's a good option for a number of reasons, both for the state and the inmate. But there are problems as well. Now, a decade ago, the state legislature and the counties reached an agreement on funding these condition of probation status prisoners. The agreement said that the state would fund half of the cost and the county would fund the other half. The bill quickly made its way through the legislature. The governor signed it. But since that time, the state has consistently failed to fully fund their half of the money.
The money just never seems to be there because there is a fundamental debate on the Hill. There are legislators that believe that this is solely a county responsibility. They would rather shed themselves of even the 50% negotiated settlement that occurred a decade ago and just say they were arrested in your county, they're charged in your county, they're convicted in your county, even though it's through 3rd District Court, a state court. Who cares? They're your guys.
County sheriffs like Jim Winder have found themselves in the middle of the political wranglings on the condition of probation issue. County leaders want their fair share of the funding from the state, but legislators understand the idea of fair share very differently.
Every time we've done this funding, we've always said subject to appropriations. So I haven't had much trouble in the past when we've given the money to help out counties on this when we haven't been under such budget stress as we've been the last while. Now I have a difficult time when counties come to me and say, you need to reimburse us for the jail reimbursement on this issue. When I see at the time we're threatening closing a pot at the Utah State Prison.
They are state prisoners because they have committed a felony. We have to pay something on that. But the other part of it is most of these prisoners, all these prisoners were arrested in the county that they committed the crime, or in the community that they committed the crime, unlike the contract prisoners who are brought in. So there's a need for the counties and the cities to pay part of that cost. I think the 50% is fair. The counties would live with that.
The courts are putting them in a county facility. They have no say in that, and yet they are expected, the citizens of those counties are expected to cover those costs. And by rights, it should be a state cost.
With budgets stretched to the breaking point for both the state of Utah and the counties themselves, the fight will likely continue. The one solution that is the most obvious and the least popular would be to raise taxes, an option few want to discuss in the current economic environment.
It's almost become an entitlement program. That, it's our fault, it's, that we ought to take care of it.
In the end, somebody has to house the inmate. If the judge wants that person to have some time incarcerated, somebody has to house, which means there's a cost to somebody. And so we're kind of back to that issue of finding the appropriate resources.
Now, there are potential solutions to this condition of probation funding issue. Some of these solutions could make their way through the Utah legislature this year, and that'll be a topic coming up in our roundtable discussion. We'll go into depth on those. We'll also take a look at the funding shortfall and how it affects these county jails and the communities that support them. For the county seat, I'm Terry Wood. Back to you, Chad.
Thank you, Terry, for that report. We will discuss COP, condition of probation prisoners, and funding when we come back. Joining us will be our expert panel here on the county seat. We'll be back with you in just a minute.
What brings you to St. George?
Business meeting.
Staying long?
Just here for the day. Quick in and out. Hey, I just landed. Can we meet in a half an hour?
Oh, too bad. Why so fast?
Stay any longer, we'll run out of things to do. On second thought, buddy, something's come up. I'm gonna need another hour. Can we push the meeting till noon? I am definitely gonna need to reschedule. Holy.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy your 45-minute flight to Salt Lake. How'd that meeting go?
I should have booked a weekend.
What are the words that describe the perfect destination? Come celebrate the Retreat of Winter, February 24th and 25th, with the annual Congregation of Lesser Snow Geese. Each February, thousands of these beautiful white birds use the fields and waters as a stop in their northern migration. Find out what you've been searching for.
What do you picture when you hear Rich County, Utah? Bear Lake Adventure? Snowmobile action? Pristine skiing? Spectacular solitude? Well, if that isn't what first came to mind, then you just don't know Rich County. The Bear Lake Monster Polar Plunge, snowmobiling Monte Cristo, ice fishing Bear Lake, skiing the backcountry, fishing at the Cisco Disco. Come and find out what you never knew you were missing. Rich County, Utah.